Well, folks, it's time to kick it old school. Yeah.
I know, I'm just playing.
Very funny.
I don't know if I could do a show with me. I think I would just be like every day.
You'd be an idiot.
Yeah, just drinking heavily all the time. Like, golly. Herb and Rodg Podcast, Tuesday night.
We're back.
8 p.m.
Central Standard Time.
We got to wait till Mike. We can't show that till somebody else gets
No, he'll see it when we jump in.
Yeah, but well, let's do the hello to everybody.
Yeah.
Fourth Down Podcast. Sorry, we had a last minute
scheduling
change. We hope we will save the Go Tigers though, and hopefully you
Fourth
carry that
down
over every week until
we appreciate you for joining us. We
Definitely.
we had a slight delay, slight postponement, I guess, so to speak. So we will. DJ will be back on here very, very soon. We let you know. We appreciate you for joining us tonight, though.
Yeah. What's up, Cat? And we have to throw in Alpha just because the Alpha pools roll tied together. Did Carol give a regular hello that I can say?
She did.
We see Carol out there. So what's up, Carol?
Carol's always joining us. Doing? Carol, thank you for joining us. Hope everybody's having a good evening.
Yeah, Daniel Berry Sports Holly. What's up, man? Good to see you. Appreciate you stopping in. And Mike said we're not looking good, but our shirts are definitely looking good, man. So
yes.
Appreciate that.
Check out what Mike. I don't know if he can add a link to it to the where we got the merch or whatever. I don't know if you can add a merch link or let everybody know where we got the stuff from. So appreciate it, Mike. This is from the Running Wrestling Podcast.
Yep.
Eat, sleep, run,
repeat. Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Central Time, and all this good stuff, man. Got us back watching wrestling a little bit. So, as people know, especially those of y'all new to what we've been doing here, we do our summer series every summer. What's up, Zach? Good to see you, man.
We're doing
Zach. Well, man. Hope you're doing well as well. Thank you for stopping in. We always do a summer series. Look, there's just not as much Alabama news as we would love anyway. And honestly, we love inviting other teams to come in, man. So we did this last year. It went really well. We had fun with the guests. So we started off this year. We said LSU was going to be up front. Had to switch some things around on the schedule. We're actually starting off with Tennessee. And the rest of this month, you've already got Ohio State, Kentucky, like I said, LSU, and Texas coming up next month as well. So, with further ado, because I don't like without further ado. So we're doing with further ado. Raj, our guest who's about to come on here, right? The only man in Tennessee that Philip Fulmer answers to. So if he needs to make a tough question, yeah. And on that note, Raj, he was actually the one that pulled the trigger and said, "All right, we're getting rid of Nico. Gotta go."
Okay.
Yep. And whenever Tennessee you just gotta mind your P's and Q's. This is not a person you want to make mad. Okay. Raj, whenever Tennessee does beat Alabama, he's the one that supplies the cigars for the whole stadium.
Wow.
He's got it like
that. That's a lot of cigars.
That's a lot of cigars, man. So sometimes he's like, great if we win, but it's tough. It's tough. Travis Hampton, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Gentlemen, appreciate the warm regards. Thank y'all so much for having me on. The cigar rolling is a chore, but luckily I've only had to do it twice in the past 2 decades. So, here we are. Hope y'all are doing well this evening.
Yes, sir. It's a labor of love. You don't exactly mind doing, though, huh?
No, I appreciate you guys having me on. No, it's it's slow time. Of course, I follow baseball and stuff like that. So we're trying to figure out how our baseball team's doing, but of course, keeping a close tab on recruiting. The transfer portal's closing up, so getting the last guys in that want to come in, getting those out, as you've alluded to. I had to make a couple phone calls. Say, hey, Nico, we're not paying that. You know what? Instead of you getting a pay increase, Nico, we're gonna make sure you lose money and to go to a worse school that will set you up for less success. So, thank you again for having me on. I appreciate it.
And then you send him somewhere where he's gonna have to pay them some crazy state taxes too. I mean, good gracious.
Listen. I live in Tennessee. I'm assuming y'all are down south in Bama. If not, if you're in Georgia or whatever, but
I'm in Texas, Herb's in Bama.
Okay, so no
I'm
state
in
tax
Birmingham.
for either one of you guys, right?
Correct.
So state tax is that nice little 15%. It's gonna get tacked on to everything. So you're gonna take less money and get a 50%. Plus, as a man that's lived in Alabama, I lived in Alabama for a while as a youngster. Lived in Texas as an adult. Cost of living in East Tennessee is quite far, and Texas and Alabama is a whole lot. That's why everybody from California is moving out to them 3 states. You feel me?
Yes.
And so not only did you take $1 million pay cut, scratch on top of that $300,000 in additional taxes, scratch on top of that your cost of living to live out in California because your dad's an idiot. So it is what it is. And if all the rumors are true, I do believe Josh Pate when he says something like that, he wouldn't say it out of his butt, that there was a lot of people that were talking about wanting to sit out the playoffs and seeing how they play during the playoffs. It kind of can make some sense. So we want anybody that's going to be in the orange and white to want to be in the orange and white. Same way with you guys in the crimson and white. I would assume y'all would want them to want to be there, right? I'm sure Ryan Williams got offered everything, but a free ticket into heaven to go wherever he wanted to go. Get a phone call in the world, but he's got some good quarterbacks throwing to him. Speaking of quarterbacks, I'm sure we'll get into that with Joey Aguilar and Nico situation. But
definitely.
I played football, and from Pop Warner up through college. I played University of New Mexico out in Albuquerque. Ty Simpson's dad was my peewee coach here in West Tennessee. He ended up working his way through the ranks, ended up coaching at Westview High School where he was at, where Ty went to school, which is about 15 minutes up the road. Then he went to UT Martin, and he coached by a buddy of mine who played over there at UT Martin for the Skyhawks. So good family. Wish he would have came to Tennessee. I'm sure that everybody, has their opinions on what they're looking for in quarterback at Alabama. But underneath Kalen DeBoer, I really think Keelan Russell would do wonders sitting 1 year behind a guy like Ty that's been in there and kind of took the lumps. He's a pure passing type quarterback, not really mobile. Maybe he's gotten better, but he really reminds me of that Michael Penix style of play, and I think that'll fit well within DeBoer's system. So if Kalen can hold on to the locker room and let somebody be the quarterback that is supposed to be the quarterback. And I say that because I think Jalen Milroe should have sat a few times last year, and I think any Alabama fan could say the same.
We agree. We were at the Oklahoma game, and we were live up front, and that should have been for sure.
A disaster.
It is what it is. Jalen's a good kid. I've met him before. But, you can't rely on running and not being able to handle pressure, weak side or strong side pressure, not being able to climb into the pocket, et cetera. And Ty has the ability to do that. And, I would love for y'all to start Russell. I think he's going to have a long tenure. He's a DJ Lagway type. I think he could do well, early in his career, but you don't want to hurt somebody.
Right.
They had to throw DJ. I mean, that was Billy's job last year was starting DJ. I think that you don't really throw that kid into the fire and tear him up mentally in a SEC grind. So let Ty have it. Let him run the show this year. Let Keelan learn the system. And I think you guys will be in good shape.
Yeah. I agree totally. Especially go ahead, Rod. Go ahead.
No, I think Herb and I were both going to echo the same sentiment. I think that's pretty much how he and I have discussed it. As far as Herb and I, we were hoping that Ty Simpson kind of goes in and has like a Mac Jones 2020 type of year, just a really, really good year. He's going to have all the weapons surrounded by him. Running back room's loaded. Wide receivers room's going loaded. We got tight ends out there. Just as long as they get the ball, we utilize them well. We're hoping he has a really, really good year. Gets to enter the draft and has a really, really successful career. And then to your point, Keelan Russell steps in and takes over. And obviously Keelan will probably see some playing time this year, depending on who we play. He'll get in some backup time. So
quarterback's one of those positions at any level you don't mind sitting a year. You know what I mean? To learn.
We're in the age of instant gratification. But if I'm a high school, listen, the only money I got in college was a couple of Taco Bell gift cards and stuff like that.
I heard that. I was actually listening to your story from.
Man, listen, I'm dead serious. And so, if I'm a quarterback and my dad's talking to me, he's saying, hey, go get that $1 million to sit there on that bench, not get dirty this year. Go in there and mop up time and learn this stuff. Like why go in there and get hurt and just to increase your NIL value? Everybody's got this instant gratification where they have to. We recruited him. If we don't play him now, he's going to transfer out of here. That's not the case. Like a lot of these kids want to be developed. Kalen's a really good offensive mind. The problem with Kalen is anybody that stepped into that role behind Nick was going to have an amount of pressure that was, close to splitting diamonds. So, of course, I hope you guys don't do great at all from a Vols fan standpoint, but I'm not ignorant to know that if Kalen does well enough, for a couple of years, he'll be all right. Getting back Grubb is huge for you guys. So, if he would have came last year, I think y'all would have been in a whole lot better situation as well, having Ryan Grubb. And did y'all keep Kane Womack or did y'all get rid of Kane Womack?
Oh, he's still here.
He's still DC?
Yeah. Even Sheridan stayed, though, after the he stayed as well, too. So,
well, we'll see what happens. Do y'all still have
Travis?
Yeah.
Travis, sorry to interrupt you, man. Something came up right on my end. I got to jump off for a split second. I'll be right back.
Go ahead. You're good, buddy.
So the coaching staff stayed, and Sheridan stayed.
I'm assuming y'all still have Jam and Justice back there, right? Neither one went.
Justice left for Michigan.
Is that right? I didn't know that. I guess I wasn't following.
Yeah.
So what y'all's projected depth
chart? So you've got Jam, Hill. We got a kid in from Louisiana, and all my names are going to escape me because I have all my Tennessee stuff pulled up. But A.K. Deer's a freshman that came in as well.
Yeah,
Daniel Hill's kind of our third guy. Washington is transferring in. So it's about 5 deep. And Kevin Riley is a name that I thought, honestly, that would have been in the portal as our 6th back. But I feel like
y'all awesome. I mean, Booker is the only one I can think of that was worth mentioning on the offensive line. Right. Seems like y'all are going to be okay in the trenches.
Yeah. I mean, there's still look, we're obviously optimistic, of course, but there is still a lot to go out and watch and see. You know how it is. I mean, I went to A-Day. I saw some stuff at spring practice, but it's still kind of like, you don't know until the games get started. So 100%. I agree with your first assessment. I think Ty is going to win the job. There's whatever you mentioned that on a Bama broadcast, there's always like people who are split. Like we've been accused of being biased towards Ty. And I was like, I don't care who the quarterback is. You know what I mean?
Whoever can win for me, I'm in.
Whoever can win. So.
But people that say that are the same ones that were glazing Milroe all year last year because of a great game at LSU or because of, you know what I mean? Like it's just, if you wanted any quarterback to be able to go in there and win it, then you would have said, hey, Jalen needs to sit down. But if the locker room and Kalen's first year was saying, nah, we want Jalen. Jalen's our guy.
Yeah, to be honest,
I mean, Jalen was good enough, right? Yeah. But it was just kind of that thought process of, you don't want to lose your locker room. I just got in here. I got to try and recruit these kids at the end of the year.
Right. Thank
you. Stuff like that. So let me keep everybody happy. But, at the end of the day, there's going to be a split locker room. You're going to keep somebody happy, and everybody's going to act cool about it, but they're going to go back to the dorms and be like, man, coach is being a B about this.
Exactly. Exactly. And let me grab a couple of comments, and then we're going to get into this real quick. So appreciate you saying, Kat, we enjoyed the summer series. So when Ephraim came in there and Todd and Kat, softball won. And I thought I saw another one. Big Mike is in there. Yep. And didn't lose anybody at the portal. Yep.
Apologize, gentlemen.
It's all good, man. We know you got stuff you got to get to. All right, but Travis, we want to talk about your stuff. So we're going to give you the spotlight. And it's funny when we're picking our teams, for the summer. And which, by the way, thank you so much for filling in on short notice. For those that know, Travis was scheduled into the month. And yesterday he got the call up to today and still jumped in, man. We sincerely appreciate
you, man.
that. Unfortunately, now it's like every talk about Tennessee, you have to start with the Nico drama. So you kind of mentioned what Josh Pate said about the playoffs. So that's kind of still out there. But where do you kind of pick up in the Nico drama when it?
So you have to look at it.
What was your timeline?
Yeah, so we got rumblings about it during the playoffs. Whenever Mike Matthews had went in for a little bit, Squirrel White, and a lot of the receiver core and all that. And so I had talked to some sources that I had that said he was pondering it. but nobody out there was really in need of a quarterback. And that was kind of the situation in the spring portal too. There wasn't really anybody out there that could pay that kind of money that was an absolute need of a quarterback that wanted to pay $3-4 million, right? There wasn't a top tier, top 15 team that was just needing one. And so Texas Tech had begun throwing out money, and that was kind of our before everything started happening, a concern for people was like maybe Lubbock oil field money wanted to hop in and maybe join the mix. With Mike staying, everything kind of chilled out. The problem that I have with Nico is I wish the young kid a lot of success. But then you start seeing all the dirty laundry coming out about NIL functions that weren't attended, not showing up to signing programs, being very diva-ish behind the scenes, and I never saw it, right? And this is just people that, of course, can come out and say it after the guy's gone. But you have to look at it from an outside perspective and how we see it. And the fact is that you want more money, that's fine. But you can't go the night before to a quarterback's meeting at the quarterback's coach's house, have dinner, and then just don't text your head coach, don't call your head coach, don't call your OC, don't call your quarterback's coach, skip out on practice, and then say, this is what we're looking for from your dad. You cannot go about it that way, right? You would have had a whole week to be able to enter the portal, but you do it the day before our spring game, and it's such a bad look. And I think that kind of negative spin really put teams on the outside looking in. Tennessee kind of set the precedent with NIL with Nico, but also set a precedent with Nico saying that we don't have to give in to everything they say. Like, you know what? Like, best of luck to you. You know what I mean? Go see what's out there. And Nico found out that it's not a lot, and I think that in the long run, Nico was set up to be in a quarterback beyond friendly system that would have had him in the first round of the draft, maybe early second, Heisman type contender, throwing for 4,500 yards this year as a redshirt sophomore against good competition that scouts are going to want to see, to jumping out to UCLA and with a much worse team. I get it. They have Sinceri out there. I understand they're trying to revamp their offense, but it's a whole different style of playbook going from this up-tempo, high motion, on the ball, no huddle, to this pocket presence type system that UCLA is going to have. So looking at it from the outside in, we were disappointed in the kid. But I mean, he got what it was, and we're okay with the swap. We get to spend half the money now on Joey Aguilar, who had a phenomenal couple seasons at App State, just had a couple issues with a couple interceptions here and there, but has thrown in 2 years for over 7,500 yards and 60 touchdowns. And people say, well, he threw interceptions. Well, I mean, he's going to have better talent surrounding him, in our wide receiver room at Tennessee. And it's a super quarterback-friendly system. We rely on the run, but have the long ball to be able to go there. So really, I'm not going to say Joey's an upgrade from Nico. I'm just going to say we didn't lose out on that much. There's a lot of quarterbacks you can plug into that system for a year or so, i.e. look at Hendon Hooker, look at people that came in from something totally different. Hendon came in from Virginia Tech, and this was brand new, right? He came in at the end of Pruitt's era and had to learn something over spring, and had already became a 3,500-yard passer. So I think we'll do okay. We saved $1.5 million by bringing in Joey, and the fans are going to ride. Or going to ride with whoever's riding with us, right? So the thing with Tennessee and the football program is if you finish at Tennessee, you'll never buy a beer in Knoxville again. I don't care if you were a long snapper, right? Like anything you ever do, you need a job in Knoxville, they got you, right? It's probably the same way in Tuscaloosa as a bunch of other places. But Nico tarnished his name not just for now in college, but if you don't think that this won't carry over into the combine and into the NFL draft, you're sorely mistaken. If Shador could have dropped the way that he did over a couple cocky attitudes, you don't think that some of these NFL owners ain't going to bring this up and say, so what's going to make you act this way when you get to the program, when you get to our stuff, what's going to make you want to hold out on your fourth year? What's going to make you not want to do this and that? So they go back as far as middle school ball asking your coaches about you. This is a major news story that Nico did, and I think he really tarnished himself. I hope he does well. But end of the day, we ride with Joey Aguilar, and we're hoping for a good season. I think a floor is 8-4, and a ceiling's kind of 10-2, and if we can fall somewhere in between that, we should be okay. So that's my hope on it. But it was disappointing more than it was mad, right? It was like, this doesn't make any sense, bro. Like, and a lot of these kids have their dads out here. They're looking for a paycheck. They're trying to live through them vicariously. And I think that if it was up to Nico, this would have never happened. This has got dad.
And that was one of the things. How
it.
much do you think it was just his dad driving?
Oh, 85%. I mean, because you got to think, I've got a bunch of Tongan and Samoan type friends from my time playing ball, and they're a very patriarchal type family. So even if you don't agree with it, if dad says it's the right thing to do, you do it, right? And I think dad thought he could try on Tennessee for $4 million. It got leaked out somehow, and Tennessee wasn't going to be, bullied, and it blew up in his face. And so they had to go and try and find what bag they could get. And UCLA could just sit in the back and say, well, we'll just wait and see what the best offer is, and then we'll get them if we can for a cheap enough price. Right. They get them for, 1.72 maybe, depending on the condo, if you're putting that in there. But you're not going to come to Tennessee and ask for Bugatti. I mean, after what you did against Ohio State, you would have won the national championship. I would have bought you Bugatti. You know what I mean? Like, I would have went and co-signed for you.
If he wins the national championship, there's no asking. Like, it's just getting
right. It's given,
but you can't go out.
But you can ask for Bugatti they're on and $4 million a year as a redshirt sophomore that just got blown out in the first round of the playoffs. Appreciate you getting us there, but let's be honest. Our defense and Dylan Sampson got us to the playoffs last year.
Basically.
Not Nico, right? There was probably 15 touchdowns that were not scored last year because of Nico, right? Not just like small drops. I'm talking 10-yard overages that people, because of the amount of money we were paying Nico, wanted Nico to be great. There was a large, Lagway Russell type vibe to he has to be great. But and as Fromm had said in the comments, it wasn't the offense. I don't see how that's just a stupid spin that his dad, I believe, tried to put on it. Because listen, it isn't like the offense changed since you committed. You committed to Josh Heupel and this offense. Nothing that Josh Heupel has changed. Nothing has changed within the Josh Heupel offense in the 3 years that you've been, at Tennessee.
Right.
Nico looked great because of the offenses around him, and I think you'll say the same thing about Joey Aguilar when he could put up 3,000 yards. You can be a mid-tier quarterback and look great in a Josh Heupel. Look at Drew Lock, right? Look at my buddy Landry. I went to high school with Landry. He played out there with. He's on our staff now at Tennessee, so I'm getting a couple small tidbits of information, but. These guys, Sam Bradford, Landry Jones, Drew Lock, that went within this Art Briles type offense, all looked a whole lot better than what they really were as quarterbacks because of the ability to be able to throw 80-yard passes and not just small dink and dunk. So, I think we'll be okay there. But, yeah, I mean, I don't believe it was the offense. I believe it was a money grab. It blew up in their face, and they turned it into, oh, we don't care about the money. Right. Okay, bud. You know what I mean? Like, we're not ignorant.
Yeah. So based on his play and based on everything that how it unfolded in Tennessee, and also based on his dad's influence on the whole situation, do you see his final resting stop at UCLA? I know it's back there West Coast where he's from, but do you see him?
Well, him and his brother both going. I think it has to be. I think Nico plays this year and goes to the draft. Okay. I think it has to be. I think that you can't survive turning into another Tate Martell or something like that at that point, right? Being that high profile, or DJ Ungalele or something like that, right? Yeah. You can't survive that third pit stop that could be a whole lot worse than the first two. Yep. With his brother going out there and kind of ready to take the reins for him afterwards and leaving to Arkansas, I think the setup is for Nico to go out there, hopefully be able to throw over 3,000 yards and get into the draft in the second or third round based on potential. Because if he has a terrible year this year, I don't see who would even get close to paying him what they're looking for. You might as well go to the league. Yep. If you have a great year this year, then you might as well go to the league because you're not going to get any more. Your market value is where it's at. And teams are going to be scared of his family.
Yeah. But it's hard for me to see a great year for him at UCLA.
Yep.
No, underneath a brand new everything. I mean, there's nowhere near the amount of weapons, the amount of offensive horsepower, or I mean, I guess they're not playing a bunch of competition in the 12, but UCLA is Big 10. No, UCLA is still in the 12, right? Yeah.
No, they're Big 10.
No, yeah,
Big
10
okay.
now.
Yeah.
So I mean,
it's hard to keep track of these days.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Everything is realigning. I just don't see it, man. I mean, you're looking at a team that can maybe go 7-5, and maybe 8-4, but it would look huge. But I think it would be more on UCLA's new defense they're bringing in versus their new offense. So I don't think that Nico could go anywhere else without taking a major pay cut, major pay cut, and it really affected the draft.
I just feel like him staying at this kind of alludes to your earlier point. I just feel like him staying at Tennessee would have helped prep him for the NFL too, playing against some better SEC defenses. But going to UCLA, and again, without looking at their schedule, I'm not sure who the best teams are going to face this coming year.
They start off with Utah.
I can't read that though. So.
Okay. Well, they got.
I see Utah, Northwestern,
South Carolina,
Michigan State,
Penn State
Indiana,
is on there. Michigan State,
Ohio
Maryland,
State, Washington, Southern California.
Okay.
No Ohio State, I don't believe, right?
No,
they do play Ohio State.
Yep, Ohio State's on there too. Yep, Washington, USC.
Yeah, man, that's a 6-loss schedule.
Yeah,
easily though. Like without even really examining, you're at 6. And look, no matter what Alabama fans or how we might think about Heupel, his last 2 quarterbacks went to the NFL. It's like you said, it's a quarterback friendly system for sure.
100%.
So, and you've already been in the system 2 years. Like jumping out at this point,
you were
I don't get that.
Yeah,
you were a big guy on campus making. If he would have came in and said, "Hey, let me get 3, let me get 3.2 and restructure this," they would have gave it to him easily. Yeah. You can't come in here and ask for a double. You know what I mean? The way that they did. And once it went public, Tennessee had no choice but to say "F you," right? Because then it would have been like everybody in the world would have said, "Well, nah, I want my money too now. I want this now." Yeah. But Tennessee had to say no.
Mike says this though. He doesn't know if Nico in the draft will be smart next year. You're basing it a lot on him being there and his brother following him, right? Is that kind of?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see him. I mean, maybe waiting an extra year would make sense for like some of the smoke to die away. But every game you hop on this year for UCLA is going to have them talking about Tennessee at some point in that game. Right. So this whole year they're going to remember Tennessee, So it's just kind of like, I don't know. I mean,
they bungled this situation about as bad.
I think that's UCLA's best bet is if he has some sort of like phenomenal year, and then he can go to the draft and then get his brother in there, or maybe whoever else is on the QB depth chart. I don't know if it's going to be his brother or not, but that's their best bet is for Nico to get in and get out.
I think it's just him and his brother, right? Didn't they lose several others? Aguilar was the biggest name, I think. Because he went.
Yeah, a couple left, but I mean, they didn't really have a whole lot to gain to begin with.
No,
I mean they haven't been good since Dorian Thompson. He wasn't all he was cried up to be either. So I mean, before that you were talking what was Josh? What was that dude's name that played out there? Rosen.
Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
I mean, and I mean, I like UCLA's coach. He's quiet, I mean, we saw his weird press conference, but he was a player there at UCLA. I'm sure he'll get the program turned around a little bit, but they went They won 3 or 4 games last year, maybe.
Yeah, I want to say 5 and 7. I feel like
somewhere around there. But
it wasn't good. It wasn't a bowl game. If they get bowl
eligible and keep some of them games close, it'll make sense. But it's going to be hard to learn that kind of system and his little pat of the ball and all that. It's going to be different. We saw what he did against Big Ten teams, and we'll see. Like I said, I wish the kid health and happiness.
Yeah, 5 and 7.
But I would love for somehow us to play against them in a bowl game, of course, because I got that kind of vengeance in my mind.
Crazy.
So
I don't think that's going to happen just because I don't think they make a bowl.
No. I mean,
if you're doing a bowl and
teams
are bowl eligible, you have to schedule that. Like, who are you kidding yourself?
But yeah, I mean, I think it was the dumbest move, and he still had a chance to come back to Tennessee during that whole time frame. Like. Right. It wasn't until after the spring game that it turned into his dad doubling down on his chips and them saying, "See you, man."
Yeah.
So they had to do what they had to do. So we'll see what happens.
And to your earlier point about the options, UCLA, I guess, kind of jumped in, but there were several teams that were like, "We're just going to wait till the price tag goes down."
And they were saying that publicly.
Yes,
they were like saying that publicly, like, "Hey, like."
Because the value's not there.
We don't want to pay that kind of money. We'll see what happens.
They saw what he did or he didn't do the previous year, and he was just like, dude, we're not giving you the $3 or $4 million. We're going to wait till it goes down, and then we'll get you for a bargain.
If I'm Nico, I would have begged for Tulane. Tulane would have been an easy path back to the playoffs, and he could have got money out there.
Yeah.
But they'll say, no, it was the offense. He wanted to be back home with his family, yada, yada, yada. And, Tulane would have been his best option to get back to the playoffs and look better. They got in some good wide receivers. They're looking good. But whatever. The Tulane said it out loud. Like, we like him. We'll see if he's a fit, but not that price tag. Imagine somebody saying that about you. Your dad's ruined your image at that point.
Yes. Well, to this Carol's point, your family should, especially in the negotiating table, because we all know how the negotiations go. The team is going to tell you all the bad stuff about you. Your father does not need to be on the other side of the table listening to that.
He's emotional.
That's where you know how our dad is. Our dad'd be flipping the table if somebody was telling us we weren't that great. But your agent is used to hearing that already.
Ty could have made $1 million going to UCLA last year if he wanted to, Like there could have been there's a ton of backup quarterbacks that are 4-5 star quarterbacks that have been sitting waiting their turns. You were already big guy on campus. There was nobody even close to taking your position. You were making the kind of money you were making and prepped to make millions of dollars in NFL in a quarterback friendly system. So best of luck to him. It's the Joey Aguilar show, as Josh Heupel alluded to, and luckily we didn't lose any of our backup quarterbacks to the portal. So that's always a good vibe. And we have the number 1 quarterback in Faison Brandon in the 2026 class coming in. So, we'll see what happens, in that situation. So,
so who is
those are exactly correct. Yeah. Go ahead, Russ.
Yeah. No, you go ahead, Herb. Go ahead.
No. I'm just reading those. I don't know if you're about to talk about it. So Aguilar, there's not even a competition. Aguilar is pretty much your guy.
I don't know. So GMAC would be second or third. GMAC's a great quarterback too. I don't know why he dropped the way he did in the ratings. He's a great quarterback. I've seen him play a few times. But we still have Jake Merklinger as well, who was a high 4-star quarterback. And I think it's going to be between him and Aguilar. First couple games, you might get a fill out. We got Syracuse up front, but I don't think you go and pay somebody at 1.5 to put him on the bench. It seems like a bad, initial investment. So we'll see. Joey got paid at the end of the day. He got a little bit of money while he sat out there at UCLA for a couple months for no reason to get crapped on. And maybe he's got a chip on his shoulder now. Like, hey, he'll come in with a chip saying, look, I'm actually good. I'm better than what Nico was. Y'all forget about Nico. Watch me. You know what I mean? And then go to the draft and do better. So, we'll see.
Roger, did you have something different? I was going to
No. You're good. You're good. He kind of alluded to the same point. I guess my question was, who do you think is going to be QB1? But we just went over that. So
I think Joey, if he can learn the system, App State was close with some of their stuff. They ran a lot of play action stuff. So not the same though. It's a totally different ballpark and being able to read defenses. But having the coach in your ear till the 15-second mark now is going to help that out a whole lot. We're just having to read signs. So. I think that he'll be able to adapt a whole lot quicker with just Josh saying, hey, they're staying in cover 2. Let's go ahead and look for this, look for that. And, we have 10 seconds of communication because we're already on the ball with 28 seconds left. You know what I mean? So with how fast our up tempo is.
The offense runs. Right. Yeah. And that's what I say. I almost feel like any quarterback would do well in that system for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the latest odds, and this is just pulling up random stuff, kind of has Tennessee as maybe 7th. In the SEC winning. Yeah. I feel like everything right now is a reflection on the uncertainty at quarterback. Do you feel like that ranking is fair, unfair, or are you just kind of like?
I think losing Dillon and a couple of our key pieces on defense, I jumped all over when Vegas went down to 7.5 being the win total. I jumped all over it. I think Tennessee has to win 8 games this year. If Tennessee goes out there and wins 7 games this year after a playoff year, you're looking at not like hot seat for Heupel, but you're looking at transfer portal, like, kind of, it would go wild. So I see us beating Syracuse. Of course, the 4 toss-ups are Florida, Georgia, Bama, and Oklahoma, in my opinion, right? Mm-hmm. I think Arkansas last year was a fluke. I think this is Sam Pittman's last year in Arkansas. He just lost his starting quarterbacks. I think Madden was going to start. Not start. Taylon Green's still there. But they just lost a good backup. They have a good running back.
I thought Pittman was gone this last year, to be honest.
I thought Pittman had been gone for a while, but he's like a fan favorite though. People like him.
It's hard to get rid of, Sam Pittman in that sense, but Oklahoma being at home, I think we got it. It's probably, to be honest, Brent's last year as well at Oklahoma. I can see this being a last year for Oklahoma. The Oklahoma brass won't put up with 7-win seasons for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, Florida,
especially when you have Texas being as good as they are, it's kind of like yeah.
I mean, you're going into the end of November, with a chance at a 9-win team.
Yes.
So, but at Alabama hurts. At Florida hurts, but playing Georgia at home probably a loss, and then of course Oklahoma being that weird game.
And they recruited well for their offense.
They did. It's just Brent's not an offensive minded guy, so
at all.
We'll see how they react to it. However, I don't know. People are saying, 7 wins, 6 wins, there's still a good defense there. There's still a good running game. Peyton Lewis, Deshaun Bishop, them guys are still there. I don't know. I don't see less than 8.
Yeah.
I just can't see it,
So if you're ranking, and this is how we do. So whenever we have to pick ours, I'll say 10-2 and who are the 2 losses. I'll rank who I think we might lose. I'm never going to pick the 2 because you never want to put that on you. But if you're ranking your 4 or 5 toughest, from, hey, this is the one we might lose to those, where are you going with this schedule?
Well, I mean, I think Georgia's the hardest on the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bama's second.
Can I tell you an interesting fact about the Georgia one real quick? Just because
what's that?
CBS Sports, when they before the Nico stuff came up, they did a game-by-game breakdown for the whole SEC, and they had Georgia losing 1 game, and it was the Tennessee game before all
I'm
this
down.
came about.
Listen, I'm down. At home, I'm down. We'll tear the whole place down.
No more stadium. We're done.
But I have Georgia first, and I hate to say this, but Bama and Florida are on a very close line for me right now. Florida's got some dogs coming to play this year.
Agreed.
Billy knows this is fight or flight year for him. So I've got, but to keep it real, Georgia, Bama, Florida, Oklahoma in my terms of toughness. As far as being 7th in the SEC, what 7 teams do I think, or 6 teams do I think are better than us on any given day? And I can't name but maybe 4. I would say that Georgia. I would say Tennessee and Ole Miss are in the same boat right now just because of what they have at quarterback and what they're coming in at. But Georgia, LSU, Bama, Texas, of course.
Yep.
I keep forgetting about
Carol, which side aren't you down with? Oh, I'm sorry.
And maybe Oklahoma. I would say, not Oklahoma, but maybe Florida. So I would say 6 at the worst in rankings. But I would go more toward 5.
Yeah.
If Lagway can stay healthy, Florida can have a pretty decent season this year.
You're not going to say they go a long way, right?
I mean, my buddy Seneca, who's a huge Florida fan, played at Southern Miss, thinks and believes in his heart of hearts his playoffs are bust for Napier this year. And I believe him. I think I believe him because they've let 4 or 5 win seasons go. He's got to have a banner year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Playoffs is tough though with Florida's schedule. That's their problem.
That's an ass. That's why I always see them at 8-5, something like this, just because their schedule is so tough.
Yeah. But I think a 9-win team can get into the playoffs this year in the SEC. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it'll happen. But, I mean, we were close last year. Look at Bama. Look at South Carolina. Look at Ole Miss. Yeah. They were all 9-win teams, right?
Yep.
So, it's kind of one of those things where I don't see Tennessee. Again, Ole Miss is there with it. So 5, 6. I can't see Mizzou, Oklahoma, Kentucky, South Carolina. I don't see them ahead of us.
Yep.
Vanderbilt, of course.
Yeah. I'll give you the 7. And here's the Oklahoma fan. Brian, Travis is already guaranteed he's beating Oklahoma this year. Guaranteed.
Oh yeah,
75-0.
Lock it in.
We'll see. He said
last year was a smoky game.
Yeah, I liked a little bit we saw of them. And yeah, Carol, my bad. Carol's one of our Georgia Bulldog fans, so she says she's not down with the. Hey,
no,
now in his defense,
he Bama at Bama. We haven't beat Bama at Bama since I was in college, high school. So, I mean, last time we got close was Mount Cody, ruining Kiffin's time out there.
Yeah,
so,
I couldn't even watch that game. I had to go outside.
Right? That was gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
I would love. I would love for it to happen, but as we get, I'm really modest in the summer and really cocky in the fall. So it's the best time to listen to me now, right? Like, I don't see us beating Alabama and Alabama, but you asked me in September, we're beating y'all's ass by 30. So.
We're calling you, Travis.
We'll have to revisit that.
You give me a call the week of the Alabama game, and let's talk about it. If we're at that point, we'll be 6 games into the season. If we're 3-6, I'll decline the invitation and just not talk to y'all. If we're 4-2, 5-1, I'm coming in guns a-blazing.
Gotcha.
You said this number is no longer in service.
Yeah, man. Just hit you with a return to sender. Shoot you a postcard.
Brian said he's winless at away SEC games, so he'll be at the Tennessee game. So we'll see how that goes up. And what's up, Randy? That's our
appreciate you.
Georgia Bulldog friend, another one of them. So great podcast comes on tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Central, 7 Eastern.
How about them dogs, huh? No, I mean, we'll see. Yeah. I mean, I like Kirby though, man. It's so hard to not like Kirby as a coach.
Basically. Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you're playing,
he's the guy you'd want to play for, I think, easily.
Yeah, him and Saban were both the same way for me. I had a hate for Saban because of who he coached, right? But I'm gonna switch chairs real quick. You can't hate on the man for what he did. He kept stuff in house. That man was NIL before NIL. But nobody in that house, from the janitors to the dean, said anything. And he was always a respectful man, had a good family, same thing with Kirby. That's all I was excited about Pruitt when Pruitt came, and, was thinking we get a little bit of that repertoire, and, we didn't. So there's that. I think Jeremy Pruitt's going to make a great DC for somebody at some point if he comes back, but,
right. What do you think about this whole suing and all that kind of stuff in the lawsuit?
I mean, here's the thing. Him and Brian Niedermeyer got caught, man. I mean, they did it ignorant, and the thing was, he was doing the same thing that he learned and watched, because he was the bag man at Bama. He was a bag man at Florida State. He was a bag man at Georgia. But them programs were so much more well kept and quiet that you could get away with it. Tennessee wasn't on that level yet. And they come in, and Phillip doesn't want his name looking bad. I mean, we already saw what Phillip did to you guys in the past. So had to hate to bring up old wounds, but at the end of the day, like, he just did it too blatantly. McDonald's bags, man, he made us look stupid, brother. Like, we already been trashed for a decade and a half. At least be good if you're gonna cheat. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna get people money, like, at least get good players. So we'll see. I'm excited about it. I think Bama's got, in my own look on it, I think Bama's got 2 or 3 losses on the schedule too, though. I mean, where do y'all have y'all ceiling and floor at?
10-2.
Ceiling?
Or ceiling,
10-2 is just kind of my prediction, I guess, is what I'm saying.
I say my ceiling could be 11-1. It just really depends on how we play. Sure. There's going to be some tough road. Obviously, the tough road games are Georgia, South Carolina, and then the one we hate talking about is always Auburn. When we go into the Auburn game, it's not necessarily roster for roster. I think we'll be better there, but just weird things happen. If you saw what happened the past 2 games.
Every year it's always a weird game at Jordan.
That atmosphere just throws us off for some reason. So other than that, the Georgia and the South Carolina games are the ones that
LSU ain't bothering you none?
No.
Okay.
Not this year. We got them.
What's funny? Let's be fair about that one, though. Okay. Sorry, Raj. We were on a show, and people always ask to rank ours. And one of our guests, one of the people on the panel was the same way. He was like, what about LSU?
Yep.
And you're absolutely right that they should be. They're also ranked higher than us in a lot of polls and everything. And they got Nussmeier, who is, top 5 draft pick, blah, blah, all that.
Yeah.
It's weird. Maybe because it's at home and we're expecting our defense to be good, I think is the only reason why. Because I do agree with Raj. The ones that worry the most are at Georgia,
games.
at South Carolina, and at Auburn, Well,
let me ask you this question then, right? Let's say Joey Aguilar's what he was at App State, right? Of what you know of the guy. Let's say he comes in and is a Hendon Hooker, just on what you know so far. What game worries you more at home? The third Saturday or LSU?
LSU.
Yeah.
I think they hit the recruiting rankings hard. I hit the transfer portal. Would they have the number 1 or top 5 transfer portal class as well?
Yeah.
And Nussmeier. What are they? One of the few teams in the SEC that has stability at quarterback.
Yeah.
From year to year. What do you got? 3 or 4? So Randy's been following us for like 2 years, and we've done 10-2 in 2 years.
Yeah,
like,
we've got our 10-2 predictions several times in the past.
Yep.
No, I get it, man. I think that that Georgia game.
Yep.
LSU, Auburn is my scary ones, with Tennessee always being weird. I mean, last time we were in Alabama, to be honest with you, we should have won that game with Joe Milton. I mean, we were up 24-0 at halftime, 21-0 at halftime.
That was a weird game.
Yeah, man. And we just fell apart in the second half. But it's hard to beat somebody at Bryant-Denny. It's just hard. Unless you got a Johnny Manziel or something like that going on. But is this a speaking of y'all's counterparts in Alabama?
Oh wow.
Is this a make or break for Hugh this year? Or you think his seat just gets really hot this year?
I think it gets really hot, and I think depending on how their season turns out, obviously I hope they don't win a lot of games.
I'll say this.
I think I have 1 or 2 more years after this year, and that's about it.
Okay.
Man, if Alabama makes the playoffs and Auburn misses a bowl again, then he's gone.
Yeah.
If they have a decent year, then like Raj says, maybe he hangs on. But he just has some serious, supporters who are overlooking everything, and this should be much improved. You know what I mean? Yeah, I just saw that. I thought this game
that's
was
a little
over.
schedule y'all got, though, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Between Missouri and Oklahoma, you got the bye in between South Carolina and LSU, which is good for y'all.
Yeah.
But in the bye before Georgia, y'all's scheduling department ain't ignorant for sure.
No. You gotta have that.
But it's I think
he doesn't think it is though.
I mean, that's true. I mean, Gus is still getting paid to hang out, and is Gus? No, Gus is.
No, Gus is at. He's at. We play them Florida State.
Yeah. He's back at OC over there, huh?
Yeah. Well, he was at UCF or whatever afterwards. Like Gus
UCF. Yeah.
He didn't take a break. So
I mean, I'm sure he got a pay raise going to be a OC at UC. I mean, at FSU. But UCF.
I think you're thinking about Brian Harsin.
Who knows?
Brian Harson's living good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All the coaches they've ran through. But no, I mean, I think that realistically, right? If I look at Tennessee, could a 7-5 season happen? Yes. Could a 10-2 happen? Yes. But with Bama, could a 8-4 happen? Yeah. Is it likely? No. But do I think a 9-3 or a 10-2 is more likely? Sure. I think LSU is in the same kind of predicament with Brian Kelly. Like, hey, you got to show us something. You can't have this $20 million team like Jimbo. Like, I think it could end up turning out into a Jimbo Fisher type situation. We can't keep getting you this much talent without you doing something with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I think that it's a Texas-Georgia type SEC championship. Depending on what happens.
Likely, yeah. To your earlier one, in this order is your odds: Texas, UGA, Bama, LSU, Ole Miss, TAMU, Tennessee. So the only ones I honestly agree with.
I don't have TAMU above us. I'd put TAMU below us. I'd put Florida above TAMU.
Right. Yeah. The only thing I agree
think if you
with
line them up today.
Texas and Georgia should be the favorites, I think.
100%, right? I mean, that's just betting odds. That should be who's going to the SEC championship, right? But
yes, sir. Yep.
I mean, we'll see. I'm gonna get these kids to bed. I would love to hop back on closer to the season during fall with you guys.
Definitely.
I'll make sure to stay in contact with y'all. see if we can get something going, and let's talk closer to the fall. I'll be staying in touch with you guys. And
I want to see cocky Travis on the
we got to see what happens after the Alabama Tennessee game.
He pulls up. I'm telling you, he pulls up. So ask some boys at Alabama Standard. He pulls up for sure.
Yes, sir. I was watching that one. That was entertaining.
Yeah, we saw it. We appreciate it.
No, I had a good time.
Can I send you off with one question, Travis?
Yeah, absolutely.
We always have questions of death at the end. We're gonna give you the abbreviated version so you can get out of here. Okay?
No, you're good, man. Go for it.
Okay. If Alabama and Tennessee somehow play for the national championship game, okay, you've got two tickets at the 50-yard line. All right. The only catch is you have to bring one of these two people with you. Okay.
All right, got you.
Herb or Rodg?
Man, Rodg over there, y'all both cheesing the hell hard. Damn, I'm gonna get both y'all tickets. Y'all there looking happy as hell. Like it's Christmas morning. Like, no, that's mine. No, we can both have it. No, you know what? You guys both been great. I'm scalping both of them, and all three of us going to the nosebleeds.
Why is that becoming the answer more?
I know. Everybody.
Is that true? Like, I've never. Has somebody else has said that?
Yes.
That must mean you guys are great co-hosts, man. So I appreciate y'all having me on. Everybody wants to have y'all along with the ride. Plus, if Tennessee were to beat, that means I can look both left and right and, smoke that cigar real heavy. You know what I mean? So y'all going to be already in the parking lot. Like, you brought me all the way up here for this?
Yeah. Hey, you know what, though? I'll say this. Oklahoma, we stayed through the whole end, including them storming the field 3 or 4 times. So we are those fans. We'll be
Trust me, man. I've stayed through a whole lot of games at the very end. I was at the 2020 LSU game, so it's with old Ed O. So no, actually it was Brady Hoke. They had already fired Ed Orgeron at that point. Brady Hoke was interim at that point. But yeah, it was a monsoon. But Tennessee is just getting to the point where we're getting stability in all three programs. I want to see us do well. We have an excuse if we want to use it. We lost Nico. We weren't ready for it. We have the excuse, but I don't want to be that anymore. We've had an excuse for 10 years. Right. We got to find out a way to be able to build around it. You've got a program in place. It's been there for this is the 5th year going into play. You got to be able to have enough points around you to be able to make it make sense. So go Vols, and I'll see y'all 3rd week of October for sure.
Yes,
all right, we appreciate you, Travis.
Have a
good night.
Appreciate you guys. Good night, man.
Hey, y'all have a good one, man. Appreciate everybody in the chat.
You too.
Welcome me in.
All right.
Cool. Thank you, Travis, man, for jumping on for, like you said, last minute. So I
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, he had just moved over there. So what else did I miss besides Randy giving me a hard time? Randy, I'm sorry, man. 10-2 is just my default, I guess. I don't know. That's just what I think. It's hard for me to pick.
I think if we can get over Georgia, if we can get over the Georgia hump with that win, I think, and the offense is looking good, and somehow going that's a nice little streak, then I think we can elevate that to 11-1. And to your point that you've made a couple times, I don't see anybody in SEC going undefeated. So
no, I don't. I think those are. I was surprised when that article called Georgia at 11-1. And then would have lost to Tennessee because I was like, they're not losing to Tennessee. So that's always a weird one. But I think Randy said the same thing last year. He had them at 11-1 losing to Ole Miss, which actually happened, but then they lost the Bama game too. I just think the SEC is such a grind. I think sometimes picking the team you're going to lose to is tough just because, we saw last year, anytime, anybody can lose any given time. So I don't know. So I guess you're talking about going from 12 to 14 or the guaranteed slots for the Big Ten and the SEC, I think is what he's talking about there. So I have no idea. And I've been watching. I thought the Indiana game was over, and then all of a sudden I look up and they're celebrating. So I'm probably.
I just checked the score. Oh, you got to be kidding me.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So,
all right.
I thought it was more. I thought it was 4 apiece. So I'd have to look up an article, but you're absolutely right about they were asking for some more guaranteed work. So first off, you should never be paying a receiver in college $21
$20 million. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's got to be fake. I don't see a real receiver. Maybe 4. Yeah. And JB, like I said, I thought that I might be 100% wrong. There's no telling. Man, you can't pay a receiver that much money.
No.
You cannot pay a receiver that much money. So
if anybody ever found that out, they'd be like, hold on, how much are you paying this guy? Come on.
Raj, because a rival just came on, though, I had a hated edition of a top 5 that I wanted you to throw out for the people.
Let's do it.
Top 5 teams it would pain you to watch win the national championship in football? Number 1 and 2 should be easy. It's a
Auburn,
softball question.
Auburn,
Yes.
Auburn.
Wow.
Auburn. Okay, seriously.
No, I mean, that was actually a pretty good answer, but who's 6 through 10 then?
All right, Auburn, Tennessee, Georgia. Like I could see it more of a possibility for Georgia because they have a better team, but just seeing them win back to back earlier this decade, I just can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore. So Auburn, Tennessee, Georgia. I guess LSU and Texas. I just like the fact
all SEC teams. You don't care if anyone else in the country.
I mean, Michigan and Ohio State just won. I could survive that, whatever. But if it's SEC, because I want us to still remain like one of the top dogs in the SEC, and I don't want to see anybody else win. If Texas hasn't won since 2005, about 20 years, so they've been in and out. They haven't came close in a long. Well, they've came close. I'm sorry, close was 2009. But I think those were my top 5. I would say Georgia would have the best chance maybe this year as opposed to us.
my list just because of Randy now.
Yeah.
They're passing Tennessee on that one. So
yeah,
this is Auburn, Texas, LSU, Georgia, Ohio State. I don't hate Ohio State like I used to. So
I don't.
I don't know if Nicholas didn't realize he put Texas, or
I think if Ohio State won more national championships like on a regular basis, then we would hate them more. But that was their first one since 2014. So.
Auburn City. You definitely see at least the regional hatred.
Yeah. Nobody wants to see Auburn and Tennessee win a championship. Nobody wants.
I'm gonna go look up that rumor after we get off of here, though. So, that's a crazy amount. First off, like I said, who's paying that much for a wide receiver? And if you're Tennessee, you can't think that that's the difference between you being a good and great team. I wouldn't think, at least anyway.
Agreed.
So, Raj, I guess we only got a few. Oh, dang, we're right up at the end. Did you have a question for me before we get out of here?
You know I do. So this is actually a fun one. So let's just we play Florida State on August the 30th in Tallahassee. Let's just say 1 or 2 days before Ryan Grubb wants to go on like a solo fishing trip, wants to go clear his mind, whatever the case may be. Saturday comes around
Ohio State. This is why you like Ohio State, Raj.
Because you love. Oh, you're right, Lady Alpha. You're right. We love you. We do love you. So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, we play at 2:30. 1 o'clock comes around. No one's heard from Ryan Grubb. Can't get a hold of him. 2 o'clock comes around. No one's heard from Ryan Grubb. Can't get a hold of him. We have to get an emergency OC right away. Who would you want to replace Ryan Grubb as our OC against Florida State? Out of these 3 names.
Okay.
Iron Man, Batman, or Superman?
Do I like I get their powers on a last minute basis?
However you want to translate everything. You just have to get one of those guys, and you have to take into consideration their way of thinking, their way of operating things, how they treat people, all that type of stuff. Who would best run this offense?
Iron Man. I feel he is the best improv out of all of them. If you told me I had a week with the offense, I'm going Batman. All right. If I've got to come up on the fly, I'm going Iron Man.
Okay.
And I feel like Superman without his powers, just trying to figure stuff out. Like that's not my guy. I feel like Superman's the guy that come out there with his chest like this because he's got powers. He's not planning a whole lot. He knows he can get through everything.
I could see Superman saying, you know what? It's okay. You made that interception. It's only the 4th one of the game. We'll do better next time. I can see.
That's not what I need. I need Tony Stark on the sideline, cussing him out, telling him, no, what are you doing? Let's get
Iron Man.
Right.
I feel like Iron Man will replace you too if you made a mistake, but just get out there. No, we can't handle it more. So
I just heard a yell. Somebody tried to scare somebody upstairs.
Okay.
Yep.
You got one for me?
I did not. I could ask you the Tennessee one though. Yeah, you know what? Here you go. Work, play, live, ditch. Okay. Work, who you working with. Live, who's your roommate. Ditch, who you letting go to voicemail. Which this list is going to be easy. So this is what Travis is going to have to go through. And play, who you going out with on Friday nights. Okay.
All right.
The Tennessee version. Peyton Manning, T. Martin, Alvin Kamara, Philip Fulmer.
I'm ditching Fulmer. I can't be around him. I'm ditching Fulmer. Hey man, I don't want to put my hands on him. I'm ditching Fulmer. I'm gonna hang out with no. I'm gonna work with. I want Peyton Manning to be my neighbor. I just feel like he would be cool just to talk to. We could watch some games together, maybe have some brews, whatever he's into. I'm going to hang out with Alvin Kamara. He seems like he'd be a fun time. And I'll work with T. Martin.
I like it. I like it.
Yep.
And Raj, looks like you right at the time you got to jump. Let me real quick.
Soccer.
Which sport? Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't even think about that because I was thinking basketball, but soccer is definitely one.
Soccer has always been my first passion, first love. It would definitely be soccer for me.
Kat, I'm telling Terrion Arnold about that for sure.
Oh yeah.
And Raj, I can do the close if you need to jump off, or you got a minute for us to close.
I got a minute.
Okay. Yep. Running wrestling, both of us have it. Raj also has a mug. Still on the way, or is it already there yet, Raj?
It is on the way.
Okay. But yes, sir. That is for the Running Wrestling Pod. Mike gave his Auburn, Tennessee, AM. Okay. FSU, LSU. Like the list. And there was one other. I have been working for most of the day and then kind of running around right after work. So I have not seen much of anything, Randy. I would go check it out. I assume it's on Twitter or
it's on Facebook too. I caught it too. Congratulations, Randy, on that.
Okay.
We will definitely
I did not see it yet.
Get into that a little more. But yeah, congratulations, Randy.
Prom said Spies. That was the source for the rumor. Randy agreed with me on Iron Man. Nicholas said Superman. And Kat is ditching Terrion Arnold for Alvin Kamara. So, and Mike's going curling. So, I like it. I don't know if T. Martin, he might be. I think he is a coach somewhere. I think you're right. Well, Randy, you're usually right, though. The only person right more than Randy is usually Mike. So, if those two tell you something, you're going to, you can do it. So, always, Randy, we love you here, man. So, like I said, I apologize for not seeing it, but that's more me running around today. I will check it out and give you some props later. And then I know the three of us still need to get together some as well. So, Raj. Started off on a good one. Appreciate Travis for coming in for Tennessee. Remember, next week, we've got Ohio State. Heather will be joining us. She's also a Cleveland fan.
Down 2-0
it was supposed to be game 5 next week at home. So I didn't know if that was going to move our schedule. Don't know how she's feeling tonight.
Cleveland's down. The Cavs are now down 2-0, heading to Indiana, too. So
Yes. NBA's been flipped on its head. All the higher seeds have lost so far at home.
And we'll jump more into NBA probably Saturday night during our hinge when we just kind of let go and we'll dive into that.
Randy, that's another one for you. Need you to suggest another bourbon for us for our Saturday night series.
Yes.
Next time. So that's only programming notes. Saturday night we'll see you 7:30. We'll be back here next Tuesday, Ohio State. Hopefully, still. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, man. The comments always help us with the program. If we missed it, that is my fault. I apologize. We will catch you the next time. Raj, go take care of them kiddos.
All right.
Appreciate you, sir.
All right.
Everybody
Roll Tide.
Have a good night. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.